So now let's talk about features and bodies, and for this I'll use this features and bodies drawing. Now this drawing is made with two separate bodies, and you can see these bodies in the solid bodies folder right here. Expand this and we have base pipe, which is this one, and rivet, which is this one. So these two are separate bodies. Now this folder will only show up when you have more than one bodies in a part file. If you just have one single body, it's not going to show up here in this list. Now in this drawing, I will add more features and I'll show you the difference between bodies and using the direct feature here. So I'll start with this top plate and I'll select sketch, and here I'll just make a circle. So this should be exactly equal to this one. So I'll just go to dimension, smart dimension, and this should be 60. All right, then I'll go to circle again and I'll add another circle right here, and its dimension is, well, 5. So that's the 5 diameter. And I'll just make another pattern. So circular sketch pattern of this circle, and I just want 6 objects so that they just overlap. And there we are. So we've got the sketch and exit sketch. All right, so now we have another sketch here, and I'll use this sketch as a reference, and then I'll just make another extrusion just using this sketch. So features, extruded boss base feature, and I'll select this sketch which I just now created here. And instead of selecting it from this list, I will expand the feature tree and I'll select sketch 3 from here. So we've got this now. Now for height, I'll use 4 unit. And here we are. So we now have this plate right on top of this, and we can now choose to create another body for this plate, or we can merge the result with any existing body. So in this case, the option is right here. So merge result is currently checked, and let's just select this option for now, and let's see what will happen once we just finish this part file with this merge result checked. So this is checked. I'll click on OK, and this is the result. So we ended up with just one single body here. So what just happened? In this case, we ended up combining the top plate with the base plate and also with the rivet. So all these 3 things are now combined into one single body, and that's what is happening here. But this is obviously not the thing that we want here. So instead of combining it all into one, I will now make one separate body just with this top plate. So I'll go to boss extrude feature and I'll select edit feature, and let's just uncheck this one, merge result. Click OK. And this is what we have now. A third body is added here. Now this one is an entirely different body here, and you can make modifications separately on this body now. Now just to make things clear, let's just rename this. So I'll slowly double click here, and now I'll call it top plate. Enter. Okay, so now we have a name for this body as well. Now since we now have separate body, we can make modifications. Let's see what kind of modifications we can make. So here we have this joint area where these two bodies are merging, and if I change the visual style to, let's say, just shaded, you will see that the line where these two plates are merging is almost invisible. Now in this case, with this visual style, it's hard to see the parting line, but if you want to just make it kind of prominently visible, then you just need to add a fillet or a chamfer here. That will do. So let's just go to this shaded with edges visual style, and now I'll add a small fillet here. So I'll go to fillet, and I'll now start with this top plate. So I'll just add a small fillet right here, and well, that's huge. So let's just change the radius to 1 unit. There we are. So we've got this small fillet. Maybe let's just use a radius of 0.5 and tab key. So this is what we are getting now, a small fillet. Click OK, and there we are. So that's the radius. Now let's do it one more time. So I'll go to fillet, and this time I'll select this bottom edge, and again with 0.5 mm radius, I'll click OK, and there we are. So we have got another fillet added here. Now you can clearly see these two bodies here. Even when you change the visual style, it will be clearly visible, kind of like this. Now these kind of modifications are of course not possible when you merge them together, so it will kind of work like a single entity, and you will not be able to just add these kind of fillets. So that's one of the advantages. So if you just want to modify every single body separately, then you would definitely want to make them as separate bodies so that you can modify them later. Now that's one thing. Let's see what else we can do with separate bodies. So we've got a rivet here. Let's make several copies of this, actually 6 copies of this rivet. So I'll go to circular pattern. Now in the direction, I'll select this edge. I just forgot to select this box. So direction box is selected. Now I'll select the edge. There we are. Now in the features and faces, well, we don't have this as a feature. This one is an entirely new body. So here, instead of selecting features and faces, I'll select bodies. And now I'll select this rivet. There we are. We have got 6 copies here. If you have less than 6 or even more copies, then change this number to 6. Okay, so with that, once again, I'll click OK. Now look at this list. So we now have 5 extra copies of the same body rivet here, and these are all separate bodies. Now, if you want to further make modifications in any of these bodies, you can just do that separately here. So that's the advantage. Now, that's not the only thing. Once you are done making changes and you just want to merge every single thing together, you can do so very easily using the combine tool. So let's see how the combine tool works. So here I have 6 rivets now and a top plate. Now I will combine all the 6 rivets and the top plate into one single body. And to do that, I'll select all of these 5 rivets. Then I'll control select this rivet and top plate. So basically everything is now selected except for this base pipe, which is this one. Now right click and select combine. Okay, so here we have all of these things selected now. In the combine option, we have 2 more operations, which are subtract and common, which we'll see in a moment. But first, let's just select add here in the operation type and then click OK. And look at this. Once again, we have only 2 bodies here in the solid bodies folder. Now, what are these 2 bodies? Well, the first one is the base pipe, of course, and the second one is this. It's combination of top plate and all of these rivets. So now we ended up with just 2 bodies here. And just for the sake of simplicity, let me hide the base plate so that you can see this thing clearly. So I'll hide the base plate and here we are. So this is now one single body. So that's how you can combine the bodies once you are done making modifications on separate features. Now here in this case, all of these features are made, these rivets actually are made with just one main rivet. Now if you later decided to just change something in the main rivet and you just want the same changes to propagate to all the other copies, then you can do so very easily simply by modifying the main object. Now in this case, let me just modify the main object, and for that I will roll over this here, and also let me just activate this view here so that we can see everything. So this is where we have the rivet and then this plate as well. Now in this case, let's just add another hole here on top of this rivet, and to do that, maybe I'll just roll over even above this one so that we only have this rivet visible. Now to add the hole feature, I will select sketch and I'll add it right here, and let's select circle. And maybe I'll just add a random dimension as well here, 2.2. All right, exit out of this sketch, and now already it's extruded, so maybe we'll just use extruded cut now. Okay, extruded cut and through all. Okay, there we are. So it just made a clean cut now, and with that, okay, so here we are. So now it just created this feature, and when you now move it back, it will add the same feature everywhere. So that's another advantage of using the same body. So when you use the same body, you can make modifications in the main one and the changes will propagate to every single one of its copies. So that's how you can use multi-body part in SolidWorks.